Bizperation is the podcast for leaders, dreamers, and entrepreneurs that want to work on purpose and be inspired in life and business. I'm Christy Jackson, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, and I'm passionate about helping you succeed. And if no one else has told you today, you are needed. So I'm bringing you podcast episodes with real lessons and strategy that you can use today.
Hey, have you heard of Local Search? Well, this is your fastest growing nationwide directory for Black-owned businesses. Make sure you share with your friends and list your own business. You can do so by visiting our website at www.localsearch.com. And make sure you download our app. It's available in the Apple App Store as well as Google Play Store. Thank you so much for the support. And remember, buy local.
Have you ever met somebody that simply based on their energy, you had to know more? So BMarcell and I were both speakers at the CEO Mom Summit. And when I heard her speak, man, she did it with such passion and sincerity, but she was driven as heck and still making moves in her lane. So that day I decided that I had to connect further with Miss BMarcell. And I believe that after our conversation today, you will say the same thing. Welcome to the Bizperation podcast. I'm your host, Christy Jackson. And my guest today is my sister friend, BMarcell Williams. Welcome, sis.
Thank you. Hi, Christy.
Hi. So I want to give you a few moments to introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers.
All right. I am BMarcell Williams. I am the founder of Jules Incorporated, which is a mentoring nonprofit based out of Washington, D.C., and we have branches across the country. I also founded Brunch and Bible, which is a women's ministry where we gather together pre-COVID, of course, at different restaurants and just experience life together, just share the things we were going through during our share sessions, and really try to build a relationship to grow closer to God and be able to live out our day-to-day in a kingdom fashion. And then I'm also the author of Go Fight Winning, which is an inspirational guide to winning in life. So overcoming obstacles, I've experienced a lot. And so that's my guide that I use to share with other women.
Yeah, and so, especially during this season, there is just so much that we are trying to navigate through. I mean, COVID-19 and, just racial and, equity, just unrest, right, in our country. And so it's so important to be able to have a tool that you can put your hands on to continue to inspire you through these difficult and uncertain times. So I want you to talk a little bit more about Go Fight Winning and maybe any other programs or resources that you're currently offering.
Absolutely. So Go Fight Winning is a book, essentially, but it's a book / workbook where you really get to see yourselves through my story. So I share a lot of personal testimony in it. I actually wrote it 5 years ago and I hadn't released it just yet. I had planned on releasing it earlier this year, but I'm actually going to release it on my birthday since it is such a personal thing. It's going to be my gift to myself to really release it and share it with the world. In my book, I just share the different things that I've experienced with grief and death at an early age with so many family members and the depression and anxiety that came from that. I talk about what it's like to be in college. So this book really is a resource for women and young girls of all ages. You could be 16 to 60. It doesn't matter. There's something in this book that you can really see yourself and reflect in that as well. And so I really take you on a journey through Go Fight Winning and really allow my readers to see themselves in this and experience it. But it's also a part of doing the work. So it's a hard thing to do. I actually was doing another program that I created and I went through this questionnaire and I was like, oh my God, it's so hard to really think about yourself. I think for so many women and so many young girls, we are naturally born as nurturers and people that really care. So we pour out so much of ourselves to other people that we don't really take the time for ourselves. And this book really makes you think through your own life experiences and how you've reacted or your journey through different things. And it really makes you deal with those cracks that you really haven't dealt with before.
Yeah, and I love that you are, teaching girls at a young age, giving them permission per se to start with you, right? To learn who you are. Because I mean, we know like there are women our age that are still struggling to figure out, what it is they like, what they're passionate about, what they don't like even, so I think that is amazing that, you have this available for girls and even women that are ready to do the work, because like you said, it is work. It takes time, and especially now, during this pandemic, we have the time, right? And I'm not assuming that people are just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, but what I'm saying is that the pace of life, has sort of slowed down, and so there's this time for self-reflection.
Yes.
And so it's so important, especially now, to have your hands on resources like Go Fight Winning.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I want to know, there are lots of women that deal with, tragedy, or, have thought and reflected about their life and making it different. But what was that moment for you where you said, I want to do something about this and I want to share it with the world?
Yes.
It's not easy to run an organization or, write a book. So what was that moment for you?
So for me, so Go Fight Winning is really my journey through my experience with my father's death. So my father was killed when I was 19 years old. I was a sophomore at Howard University. I was a Blue Squad varsity cheerleader, vice president of our fashion council, promotions director for our industry power players that brought all the entertainers onto campus, like all the celebrities. I was a campus pal, and I was making a campus pal introduces freshmen to the campus, and then I worked at BET. I was working at XM Satellite Radio, and I was working at the Cheesecake Factory to actually really make some money. And then, and then I also had a 3.5 GPA. So when all of this stuff at the age of 19, going to Howard, it's just like, you can do anything, right? Like if you can make it at Howard, you can make it. And that's just how we feel, like being a bison at the Mecca. So I was doing all these great things. And I really came from a household that my friends used to joke and laugh and be like, oh my God, y'all are the Cosbys in real life. I had a mother and a father in my household. My dad was my stepfather, but he raised me since I was 2. My mother was a pediatrician. I really led a quote unquote privileged lifestyle within our community, and really had different opportunities. But when my father passed away, it really devastated me because he was the man in my life that really gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to do all these things while at Howard and to be able to stay focused and, really go after my goals. So when he died, my entire heart broke, and probably about 3/4 of me died with him. And so during that transition for me, it was about 2 years. I was in a complete depression. I was still working and doing these different things. My grades plummeted because I would hide and go into this depression in my dorm room. So when he passed away, I then started, about 2 years later, I really wanted to give back to DC, give back to my community, because at Howard, we do a lot of great programs where we bring the youth to us. But I'm like, just seeing the youth on the streets, and like, it's just like they were hanging all over each other, and the girls were looking for attention from the guys. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to give them the attention that they want or that they need, and we're going to be role models. So I created an organization of mentors from Howard that go out into the community every week. So my journey there, it didn't stop there because I was still depressed until I gave birth to my son, Peter. And then even through my marriage of, getting married and then having more children and all of these things, I literally had to learn myself all over again. I really had to start building up my confidence. I had fallen. I had postpartum depression. So it's my book, Go Fight Winning, really takes you through a lifespan, pretty much, journey of just hardships and things that life will throw at you that we're not taught, Christy. Like, I wasn't taught these things about how to be a mother, how to deal with grief, how to be a wife, all these things. So
there's literally no manual for that, right? Like, there's no manual, and it's different for every person.
Exactly. So when I wrote Go Fight Winning, it was really for me, it was God telling me to release this, because in order for me to really heal, I needed to share these different experiences. And they're very hard experiences. And that's why it's taken me so long. I'm just kind of like coveting this project. And I'm like, okay, it's really my baby, because it's really my real life, you know, and being able to share that with young girls so that they can really see themselves in it. And even if they don't go through the exact same thing, at least they have something or somebody that they can relate to, that they know has been through stuff. And even for young adults and mothers and grandmothers to be able to relate and see, you know, these things. And then maybe there's some things that they hadn't worked out before in their own journey that now they can take this guide and go back and see, and then be able to share their story. So for me, it's really God telling me it's time for you to share. You know, it's time for you to share so that you can heal, and then other people can heal as well.
Yeah. You know, it's just like the things that we experience in life are never just for us, right?
Exactly.
So it definitely takes courage to, you know, it takes courage to share those things with other people. And so I just honor you for, you know, just saying yes to the call and the gifting that's on your life to use your story to be a blessing to other people, because I know there are going to be so many women that, first of all, can relate and will be inspired to go through that grief journey, however it looks for them. Right. And to continue to persevere, because there is still more after this.
Yes.
There is still more after this.
Yes.
And so I just love these spaces that you are creating for women and creating for girls. And so, you know, especially given, you know, where we are in our country, you know, with this racial tension, and, you know, people are reaching out and asking, you know, what can I do? You know, white people are reaching out. What can I do? How do I need to rethink my own perspectives? And so, you know, some of the responses are this commitment to elevating the voices of Black and brown girls.
Yes.
And, you know, I have been challenging those in my circles to not just make this a tagline.
Mm-hmm.
What does that really mean? What does that really mean? And what are the tactics that you're putting behind that, so that it's not just something that's being said? So I want to ask you, what are some ways that we should be elevating, or we could be elevating, the voices of Black and brown girls?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that I truly believe that we can do is really give them the platform, really support their voice. So not really even just telling them this is what you should say, this is what you shouldn't say. There's a young group in Nashville, Tennessee. They're called Teens for Equality. And it's 4 girls out of Nashville, and they literally led like a 10,000 person march, and they're teenagers in Nashville. And so much so Barack Obama retweeted them, you know, and it's really about supporting our youth and supporting what they have to say. One of the things that I say in Jules, and when I'm brought to the table, because I've been doing this work for over 15 years, I've really been doing it for about 20 years, since I was a teen. So one of the things that I always tell adults, grown-ups, is that you cannot have a table of adults that are making decisions for youth if you do not have a youth at the table. So as many of us that actually grown-ups and adults that have tables, we need to make sure that they have a seat at these tables. I'm a part of We Power St. Louis, which the Power Builders Academy. And one of the things that I was sharing with them is that I asked them, I'm like, well, how old do you have to be to get in this program? And it's literally from 14 on up. The nominations that I put in, I think all of them were actually 14-year-old kids, all teenagers. So I nominated pretty much all these teenagers, all these young adults, because I'm like, if we are talking about K through 12 education, they need to have a seat at the table. They need to talk about, you know, what it's like for them and their experiences. We can't make decisions for our youth without hearing their voice, you know, without allowing them to come have a seat at the table, and then also supporting their own tables. You know, they're literally building their own tables, which they should. They should, continue to do things, because we're not going to see everything. We're not in their age group or their category. So we're not going to see all the things that they actually need. So for them to really support them and then also bring them on board with us.
Yeah. I'm literally getting goosebumps, like hearing you just talk about, the potential and the possibility of what can come from these young people being at the table, and how it literally will shift our perspectives and allow us to serve them in a more authentic and realistic way, because young people know what they want. And they are not afraid to ask for it. And they're also not going to wait for us to give it to them. So they know how to circumvent the system to get what it is that they need. And so I just really love that. And so I have been asking so many of my friends to, speak to that piece, because, people are listening, white people are listening, and they're really wanting to know, what can I do? To provide this space. And if you're going to provide that space, it needs to be done in an authentic way. So that question is really, really important to me. So, with that, entrepreneurship is really a journey. I mean, whether you're serving, as a nonprofit leader or a for-profit leader, there are highs and there are lows. I am writing a book called the Dream Sync Launch, and it really just speaks to the cycle of the entrepreneurship journey. And the dream is where you have all of that energy and optimism, but the sync is coming, because it's just the cycle of how things happen. There are going to be mistakes, missteps, things you just didn't know, blind spots. So I want to ask you, in relation to, your entrepreneurship journey, what was the biggest leap of faith that you've had to take to continue to move forward?
My biggest leap of faith that I had to take in my entrepreneurial journey to continue moving forward is honestly to trust myself. That I think myself, it's what stops us is honestly us. Like, we stop us from moving forward, whether it's because we've tried to do something, we've tried to run a program, we've tried to get grants, or we've tried to get donors or support or whatever. We've tried to do so many things, and it just seems like it keeps failing and failing and failing and failing. And then it's just that you get to that point where it's like, I should just give up on this. And then you may take a break, and then you're like, okay, I can't give up on this, because it's just that gnawing thing. So, and I'll share this too. Right now is honestly, I guess, my biggest leap of faith that I'm having to walk into, honestly, because with COVID, I was let go from my job, doing development, and just because of the times that we were in. So I was laid off. And then it's like, okay, do I go and look for another job? Of course, like, I'm still like looking, and trying to apply for another job. But then it's also just for that like security thing, but then it's in my heart of hearts, I know that I am supposed to release all these projects that I have, that I'm sitting on. And then I also know that I'm supposed to really take my nonprofits to that next level and grow them as the CEO of these different organizations. But then it's that thing of yesterday, literally yesterday for me, Wednesday. Wednesday was so hard for me, because I sat here and I reflected and reflected and reflected. And I was like, am I really supposed to be doing this? And deep down in my heart of hearts, I know, like, this is the lane I'm supposed to be in. So now it's really me building trust within myself, because I've let me down before. So it's like me learning myself all over again, starting back at the basics and taking it literally step by step, just one step at a time. And I'm a visionary, so I think big, I dream big, all of those things. But it's really not about the big vision, because I know it in my heart of hearts. It's really about going back to those details and ironing out all of those things and doing what we said for Go Fight Winning is doing the work,
Yeah. I love what you're saying about that, just trusting yourself, because again, that is a huge challenge. And I know you're not by yourself. I mean, I've had those moments where, I know that there's something that I should be doing. I sort of tiptoed into, part-time entrepreneurship, trying to hang on to, my career in education part-time. So when I know that God told me it was time to go 2-3 years ago, when I said, okay, I'll just do it part-time, right? I mean, just drove myself crazy. I mean, no good, no good. I just drove myself crazy, which I should have walked away when God spoke to me to do that. But I didn't trust myself. And to be honest, I didn't trust that, he was going to provide in a way that I was accustomed to, even though I have seen him do it over and over and over again. And there comes this time where you have to draw that line in the sand and say, look, either God, I am with you or I am not with you. And so like you, I had to make that decision that I am all in. And it has been a full year, in full-time entrepreneurship for my husband and I, and we've not missed what God has had for us. We've not missed anything. Yeah. So, I agree with you. It's about that agreement with yourself first and then stepping out. But, along the lines of dreaming is more than just this pie in the sky vision, as you spoke to. So what are some of the misconceptions that people have about following their dreams?
I think some of the misconceptions that people have about following their dreams are that they're just a dream and that they can't, do it, or it seems impossible, or, oh, that's a great idea, but it's really not for me, and really not really taking ownership of their dreams and really not being the ones to just say, you know what, I can do this, or I can have people that will support me. I think one of the things that honestly, Christy, like what you created with the Bizperation Growth Group, it's brilliant. It's honestly something I had prayed about, because I was like, Lord, I want to be a part of a group of women, that I could really share with and feel supported by, that I didn't create the group, like I did not want to be the creator of it, because as you have leaders and entrepreneurs that are in your space, it's hard for us to be able to trust other people, one, because we've been burned so bad so many times, but then two, we're natural born leaders, and to be able to be led by somebody else, it speaks volumes for us to be able to just really be able to sit and retreat into something else, a different program that brings about a different viewpoint. So for dreamers and people that have big dreams and have big visions, one, I would say to them, if you have a goal, if you have a vision, and if you have something that you know that God has placed on your heart, because he gives us our heart's desires. So if he gave it to us, he's going to provide for it, because he needs it to come. He needs to come to pass on this earth. So if you are a dreamer and you are stuck in a season where you're like, this is not for me, this is not what God told me, I should, or he told me this, but I'm kind of scared. One, trust the dream, trust the vision, and trust that God will put people in your life that are supposed to be in your life to help make that dream come true. So share, just have wisdom and discernment. Pray about who you share your dreams with. You cannot share it with everybody, because everybody's not going to get it. And even those closest to you, you may share your dream with them. They may not understand it, and they may deter you from pursuing it. So just be mindful, maybe get a journal and journal out, what the dream is, what the vision is, and then just keep coming back to it every time. Even if you don't go directly nosedive into it, which a lot of us don't, maybe you just keep coming back to it and writing little details down. And then one day you'll have that aha moment like Christy and her husband had a year ago, like I'm having as of yesterday, of just really, following the dream and trusting in yourself and having the faith that God will provide for you for that particular dream, because that dream didn't come from just anywhere. It came from your Father.
Yeah. Sometimes I jokingly say, I don't even have the good sense to create some of these resources and products that that God has inspired us to create. I'm like, even on my best day, I don't even have the good sense to do this. So I know.
I tell people all the time, like when it comes to jewels and brunch and Bible and all the things, I tell him, I'm like, I am not that smart. Like, I am not that smart to put this whole thing together. And then even when having conversations with my teams and leading and stuff, literally God will be showing me stuff and he'll be showing me stuff and I'll be saying it. And I'm like, oh, he blows my mind. Like, he blows my mind about how he connects the dots. And for me, it's like, I need to, trust that more, like trust and know that that is God that is blowing my mind. And if he said it, it has to come to pass.
Oh my God. And each and every time he does, each and every time. This has been such good conversation, such good conversation. I just love how just authentic you are, sis, and just, man, just being able to share your story is going to just inspire so many people that are listening to this. I just love when people are real and when they are honest about the highs and the lows of their journey, because I think that, for one, it frees you every time you talk about it. Yes. And it also is used to inspire, and encourage someone else. So it's a win-win on both sides, and nothing is wasted, that we have experienced in life. So I want to transition to my top 5. These are just fun 5 questions about you that, we just want to know, because we want to know more about you. So don't think long about it. Don't think hard about it. Just top of mind, what comes up, that's your response. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So here's the first one. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Okay. Ooh, mine too. All right. What surprises people most about you?
That I can play 4 instruments.
Ooh, what are they?
The violin, piano, guitar, and the acoustic bass.
Girl, you got a one-woman band going on over there, huh?
Only strings. I can't blow nothing for you. You'd be like, girl, stop.
Love that. Okay, what is your favorite word?
Jesus.
Ooh. Girl, that's a word that will take us until the end of time, won't it? Yes. If we don't know any other word, Jesus is all that we need. Yes. So what color best describes your personality?
I would say purple and green. So green because of growth. Green because of growth, and then purple just because of the royal sense of that color. It just reminds me so much of the kingdom. It's also the highlighted color for jewels, so that would pretty much be it for me.
I was trying to predict what color you would say, and purple was what I thought you would say. Because of your elegance, how regal and creative you are, and just authentic. So that's the color I predicted you would say too. All right, last one. If you won $1 million today, what's the first thing that you would buy?
I think the first thing I would buy would be a home, because we are not homeowners. So a home for my family to really be the foundation and a meeting space for us in our community. With me, house and home is so important to me, because I always bring people in. And even from the sense of Jules, my grandparents and my grandmother, who's the inspiration behind Jules, she used to mentor her students. She was an educator. She used to mentor her students at her kitchen table, and I would watch her do this. She would feed them. She would clothe them. Because her students didn't have a lot. And so she would give them piano lessons, and my granddad would teach them. So a home would be basically like our hub, where we can invite our family and our community and our friends into.
Gotcha. So reputation is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So what do you want people to remember about our conversation today?
I would love for people to remember about our conversation that I am a woman who loves God, who loves her family, who loves her community, and who is an advocate for youth and women, who I will do anything for our community, for our people, and especially for our babies.
You actually are. She's living what she's talking about, y'all. Reach out, connect. BMarcell, how can people follow you?
Follow me on Instagram. It's my personal page is I am BMarcell. My business page that I just started is at BMarcell Williams. You can find me on Facebook, I am BMarcell or BMarcell Williams, or send me an email at info@bmarcell.com.
I love it. I really appreciate this time today, sis. This was such an awesome way to start our morning, wasn't it?
Oh my God, it was amazing. Yes, thank you so much. I do, Christy, can I just share with the audience really quick a couple more things?
Sure.
So and I didn't put this in the pre interview, you guys, so I'm springing this on Christy. So there's a couple of things that I do have coming up. So clearly we have Jules, we have Brunch and Bible. Brunch and Bible will resume sessions this fall, August, September, for women that really need a space to release and connect with God. For Jules, anyone that's interested in being a mentor or whatever that could look like, please email me at info@bmarcell.com. But then the Ethics Project, which is located here in St. Louis, Missouri, I've taken on a program called Mother to Mother. Mother to Mother is going to be a platform and a conversation with African American women, speaking specifically to white American women. So we're going to share the talks that we have with our kids in raising our African American kids about the police, about just the racial inequities that happen on a day-to-day basis, so that we have to experience as Black mothers. And the whole purpose of this is to really bring awareness to white mothers about what we actually have to go through as women of color, and how we have to train up our kids, and the fear that we have when our husbands leave our home. So Mother to Mother will be happening and taking place later this month. I'll give you more information for that as well. And then also Master the Moment. So I have a program that I've created, Master the Moment, that launches actually in July. And basically it's for women to really be able to master their daily lives, so their everyday, and then also master those most important moments that happen in our lives. So really, our kids' birthdays, family gatherings, and milestones like that. So really just showing every woman how we can really master our time so that we can make the most of each moment, because tomorrow isn't promised for any of us.
Not at all. Not at all. You have so many wonderful opportunities, that we need to be connected to, and that we need to show up and be a part of. And we'll make sure that we share those links when we, promote this interview. So thanks again, sis. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you, viewers and listeners, for watching the Bizperation podcast and being with us today. Until our next one, have an awesome, awesome week.
The Bizperation Personal Think Tank Journal is now available. Did you know that your creativity is a valuable asset based on this? How you think determines how you thrive. The Bizperation Journal exercises the key thinking skills that make goal-getters successful. Get your copy today from Amazon or receive an autographed copy from the Bizperation.com website. We know that there are lots of podcasts that you could have chosen to listen to, so thanks for choosing ours. Go ahead and subscribe now so that you don't miss any episodes.